As always, there is sunny days, there is a rainy days. It's normal. It's just a part of a life. Most of the people are concerned when it's rain. Actually, it is interesting. When it is rain, then it's not a bright sun outside. Therefore, the balance between the interior and the exterior is actually more even than when there is super bright sun and maybe the window is not letting that much light inside, and therefore there is a difference in the light. So it's actually making our life easier to make the images in kind of a cloudy day. When it is a rainy day, it actually makes it a little bit more difficult, but more it is to do with the exterior, with the external images. Therefore, this is what I have prepared for you. So London is beautiful. We have a lot of nice and sunny days, but we also have rainy days. Okay, so here are some samples, and these samples, what I'm going to show you are that are done on a rainy day and after the post-processing. So here, if you would look at this, we see that the floor basically is wet, yeah, and the sky has been replaced. It looks nice and beautiful. Of course, you cannot change these wet areas. They still will be wet, and let's say the roof as well, you know, the reflection of it and so on. But you can still make it a little bit brighter. You still can change the skies, and that would be something that we do always. Yeah, this is another shot. Here again is a rainy day. Of course, it's maybe not the most beautiful property, but just showing you how it is the end result, because eventually, look, there is cars in front in 2 rows actually, and this is what it is. But you know, we have done the best what we can. Also here, look, this is a property, and of course we have all these fridges there in front of it, but what we can do, of course, if a client wants, we can edit them out, but you know, post-processing takes a lot of time. So if client needs that, we can work on this. If no, then this is how it will look like. And here another sample, and also we see here, you see, the floor is wet, and this is something that we cannot change. Now, the mistakes. So when taking external images, first of all, it's the graph. So let's say this is our house and this is our camera. So the camera is quite low, and therefore we have to tilt it up to catch the roof of it, and we compromise on the floor here. The proper position would be if we would try to center as much as possible the camera towards the building, and then we would basically shoot at an angle, and we would have room for the sky and room for the floor. So this is the mistake that I wanted to point out. So in this case, you see here, this is done from quite a low angle, probably at a tripod level. And here actually what we can do is basically just lift it up the tripod. If you lift up the tripod, then the tripod would be approximately on the same level as these windows, and maybe here above the roof, yeah, because anyway the tripod is about 1.50 meters plus a person is, let's say, 180, let's say it's 3 meters something. So from here to there is about 3 meters, and therefore it will be centered, and we can catch the sky and we can catch the floor, as in this example. Of course, it's again a rainy day. We can see there was the cars, they have moved, but we can see that, you know, the tripod is actually at the level of this of the first floor, and we have enough space for the sky. We have enough space to capture the driveway as well. Yeah, so that would be no, and that would be yes. All right, so the information, so equipment. So what equipment do we need? So, you know, is there any special equipment that we need? In terms of equipment, let's have a look on the right hand side. I only use tripod, camera and lens. That's it. There is a camera that has like a Wi-Fi function. You can like use your smartphone and use the Wi-Fi function. You can use like a remote controls and the rest of it. I don't use it. I just try to have everything simple as possible. And that's why I listed only these items that I use from the equipment. And I set the timer. So I set a timer on 10 seconds. I lift up my tripod. I take the first set of pictures. I have a look. If it's not good enough, then I put it back again. And if I need, I can tilt back my camera. I can tilt it forward. I can turn left and turn right, whatever side I need to, and do another set of images. Or for example, if I was on a timer, it's counting up to 10. and then whilst it's counting up to 10, the car comes, and actually the car is just in front of the camera when I'm doing the shot, or for example like a person is there, then of course I would need to reshoot it. These are the things that you have to take in consideration. But setting up the phones and keeping the tripod and doing all this, it's not easy, at least for me, and it's not like the two people go to each property. It's just one person goes there and does it. So therefore all the equipment I keep in one backpack, including a tripod, and I don't carry a lot of things around me. I try to be simple as possible, get the best out of it, and that's why I don't use any other devices. So settings, so high shutter speed, because when I lift up the camera, what it is moving, of course it's not steady, so therefore if you're gonna have a low shutter speed, especially if it's in the evening, because look, in the evening there is less light, so therefore if you would adjust your shutter speed according to your reading on your camera, it may be maybe less than 40. Then in this case you have to increase the ISO or lower the f number. Always keep the shutter speed high, at least maybe above 40 at least, because anything less than that is hard to kind of control when you have the camera handheld, and then basically the images are blurry. And in this case, of course, you could say, if you increase the ISO, then there is a grain, but the question is, what is better, to have a little grain or blurred out image? Of course, a little grain is better. And lower f number would basically decrease the depth of the field, but open up the lens more, so more light can come in. And as long as we have focused and we have the building in focus that we are taking pictures of, if something around is not in a focus, or maybe that depth of field is not there, that's fine. We are focusing on the building itself, especially when shooting images in evenings in winter. So taking the images, so in terms of a camera, what do I do with a camera when it is raining? So I keep the lens covered. So I have my lens cover, I cover with my hand, and you will see that in video. I lift up the camera looking downwards. So basically if I tilt it up, the rain can go in straight away. So I just tilt it down and I lift it up this way. So I listen to the beeps, because I have set up the sound on my camera so I can hear when it comes down to the 10 second. If I have 10-second timer, the beeping starts to be intense, and when it does so, I just lift it up, do the shots, and lift it down, and then take down the camera. So I straighten up the camera, take the shots, cover again my lens, and check my images. So if in case there was a rain or something, and also from the environment side, what we need to take in consideration, the direction of the wind. So if I would do a straight on shot and maybe the wind is blowing this way, I could probably do it from the angle, and then the rain is not directly in the lens, and that means that I could take a nice side shot, or maybe I can do a nice side shot from this side. So if, for example, rain is going this direction and I'm taking from here, then the rain would not gonna get into the lens. And of course there may be different situations where you just have that one particular angle because of whatever situation is there, and you have to do this way, then you just be quick. You have to be quick, and if you do it quick, you still can catch the moment. And I had in all the time since I'm doing property photography, 5 years, I only had once an external images that I couldn't do because of the weather, because of the rain. The rest of it is just about the techniques, because of the and also how quick you do and what you do. And then you need to look into the bins. Of course, in front of the house there is a bins, we always remove them, and there is moving cars, because when you set on a timer, you wait for 10 seconds. Whilst you set 10 seconds now, in those 10 seconds everything can be changing. So people can be coming across, cars can be moving. And the third thing is trees. Of course, if there is a tree in front of you, you may only have that one angle, really nice one, that you can do. And if the rain is going there, then you may just have to think about whether you do it before the visit of the property or after the visit, or maybe in between, because you may actually be doing a floor plan, so you can just pop out and do the shot as well. So there is it's the element of timing. All right, let's have a look at the videos that I promised. Those videos are done today. Luckily it was raining, I was hoping so, and it wasn't really heavy rain, but it was raining. So let's have a look at these. Yeah, we'll see how they were gonna work. Hi everyone, I will show you how to do the external images in a rainy day. First of all, we have to get rid of these bins. We have a few there already. Alright, here we have the camera and the last bin. So let's go from the other side of the street now. Okay, so first of all on a setting, so what I'm gonna do, especially when it is raining, you don't want to have rain in your lens, so you want to keep the lens down at all times, especially if it's heavy rain. So for example, what would I do? I would set up my camera. It is bracketing already. So now I would cover my lens. I would then focus on the building. Autofocus. I focus on the building, and I need to set up the timer. So the timer that I use is 10 seconds, sorry, because I need enough time to lift up the tripod. And all this time, if it's raining, you can just keep your lens cover on, but at the moment it's not so heavy rain, so it's not needed. So what do I do? In this case, let's imagine there is a heavy rain. I would adjust my shutter speed, and now start counting the 10 seconds. Up. Take the images and I keep it down. Let's have a look. This will be probably the image that we are looking at. So let me show you again. So now I just enable the sound so you can hear what I'm doing. So what I do, let's repeat this once again. So if I'm outside in a rainy day and I don't want the rain to go on my lens, so what I need to do, I need to keep the camera facing down. So when I focus my camera, then I keep my hand above the lens. Now I focus on the building. It has one beat. Now I press to the end and it starts shooting. It starts the timer. I keep the lens down. And once I heard that the sound becomes more intense, I lift it up, take the shot, and I tilt the camera down. So the position is, I have it this way, I focus on my building, I lift the camera up this way. Now I'm listening for my timer, taking the shot, keeping it down, taking the camera down as well. So that means the only way when the rain can get into the shot is when actually we are taking the shot, not whilst we are setting it up. Because the time when we are doing the bracketing, it's only a few seconds. So that means if you catch any rain, you can have a look at it. In this case there is no rain. If there is rain, you can just clean the lens and repeat it again. So this is how we do photography when we are lifting it up. If I would switch off my timer and just have it on high speed continuous, and if in this case I don't have any cars in front of me, then I can do this. I just go here, I focus, so this way basically I focused whilst my hand was covering from the rain, then I took it off to the shots with my continuous shooting, and once it's done, I'll cover again so the rain doesn't get there. So that means that in this way we can avoid rain getting in our lens. So what we need to do, we need to take a front shot, side shot, and the other side shot. So let me do that now. Let me put back the timer, and in this case it's not raining anymore. I will just do a normal, and I'll demonstrate how I would do the front images for property. Now the other side is just left. It's actually good because we can see that it's raining already. We can see that the camera is wet from this side, but the lens itself has a small dot there. But let's have a look at the image quality. If you have to reshoot it, and let's say this is good, but let's say for instance this wouldn't be a good case, and we would need just to clean the lens a little bit and reshoot it again. So I'll show you how I do it myself. Okay, and then I will show you how wet is the lens, so we know that it's raining at the moment. Right, let's have a look at the screen. So we see it is raining already. So we see it's a good shot, good exposures. But let's have a look at the lens. And the lens itself doesn't have any raindrops on it. So that's how we achieve good images in a rainy day. And of course, the last thing what we have to do is just put back the bins. I think that's the easy part, yeah. Keep safe, gloves on, yeah. Thank you. Alright, so these were going to be the shots that I have taken, so just to show you what exactly is the end result. So this would be probably the shot that I'm looking at, or this one, but I can see here are two overexposed areas here because of the window, so not the window but the roof. Probably I would be using this. Because of these dark shadows, I would probably need to have this shot as well. So these two main images would be what I would use. Okay, let's have a look at the other angle. So we have this property at the other angle, 1, 2, 3 shots, and the last angle, 1, 2, 3 shots as well. So in general, I would always advise to have more space around it. So there is space for the sky, space for the road as well. So if you do it from the other side of the street, that allows enough space, and we can always crop in. But if you have done like only close-up shots, then it will not be sufficient because you cannot add anything. You can always crop it, but you cannot add it. So that would be the case that just have to keep in mind. Yeah, and there is another video for another property that we done today, and in this video I'll more explain about the settings.
Photograph on the field, episode 2.
So now what are we going to do, we're going to take a pictures of this building. You can show the building that we're taking pictures of. Yeah. So because we don't have a big distance to step back and it's quite high, I will again need to lift up the tripod. Also, we're on a busy street, we have to look after the cars, and we have to maybe do a few shots and see how it's going to go. All right, so it's quite good. Still, I have to tilt it back a little bit, and we still have this car here in front of it. I will try to avoid that. Let's do another shot. Perfect shot. We are on a busy street in front of a bus stop. We have room for the sky, we have the road, and we have things around it. So great shot. I'm happy with that. What we're going to do, we're going to take some side shots as well.
And since it's getting dark, so we'll keep our floor plans for later. So we're lucky we have a few apartments in the same block. So that's mean kind of save on the external shots. So because we can use the same for both apartments in that flat.
Okay, so here again, this will be the shot that we're looking after. So maybe the brightest will be this, because there's no overexposed for the sky and it's perfectly lit, one shot. Of course, if it's a sunny day, you may need to have few shots, one for the sky, one for the dark areas. And let's do the other side now.
Let's see if we get lucky with this bus moving our direction.
So we basically managed to do the shot before the bus came, so it's great.
As I just mentioned.
And of course there is some cars in front of us, but not in front of the building, just on the side. But as it is busy road, we cannot get it perfect, but as long as there is nothing in front of the house. So a little bit about the settings. So what settings do I use? First of all, when you're lifting up the tripod, you have to have fast shutter speed, because you're not going to be able to keep your hands steady enough. That means if it's dark, now it's already 4 o'clock, it's getting late now. That means that you have to increase the ISO. So I'm not sure what ISO settings you're shooting in the property, but it depends of the day of the time when you're shooting. And if it's dark, boost up the ISO so you can actually have it handheld and it will not going to blur out your images. That's one thing. The second thing is I keep f8 around that area in terms of aperture, but if it's needed you can decrease it as long as your subject is in focus. The rest in this case is not the priority. So that means if it's evening and you have to lift it up, you have to get as much light as possible, decrease the shutter speed, decrease the f number, increase the ISO if it's needed, and have the shutter speed quite high. That means that it will be okay if you were going to be keeping it in hands and it will still be in the focus. So you've seen there was a great pictures. It's a busy road, it's a rainy day, everything is working against us, but we still managed to do great shots. After the post-processing, we're going to put the blue skies in and it will going to look amazing. I will show you the post-processed images as well. Thank you.
Thank you. See you next episode. Bye.
This is basically the shot that I took at the beginning, and it was just a test. So that's what happens when you have a busy streets. First of all, things are moving, like I mentioned, with the cars. Second of all, I can see there is not much room for the sky, so I would like to have a more room for the sky to kind of have the space to breathe a little bit. So I done a second shot, and you can see now what did I do. I basically took it from the same place, but I tilted down, tilted backwards a little bit, so kind of the tripod, and that way I add more space on for the sky and less of the floor. Of course, we can then straighten this up in a Photoshop, and that would be a perfect shot. But just kind of having space around the building is always important as well, yeah, and just having it in the middle. So this would be the before and after. So here we can see this was the first shot. and then I done some corrections. I took another shot, and of course it could also be like here in a busy street. There's people walking around. There's cars traveling. You may not have the best angle, and once you basically manage to get the best angle, then the car came, yeah, and then you have to reshoot it. So that can be another thing. And like I mentioned before, if there are cars, that's fine, because you may not always avoid the cars, but if you can then shoot over them, so therefore we leave the tripod and at least try to have a situation where the cars are not in front of the building. And if you set the 10-second timer as I do, then you have to think around, okay, if the bus is there, or in this case it was on that side, then I see that with a corner of my eye that the bus is there, and I know I need to act quick, because if I will not gonna do that, then I basically need to wait, and then just wait until it moves and then do it again. Yeah, so that is the thing that needs to be kept in mind. That's it. So yeah, if anyone wants to learn more, this is the contact details. Yeah.